السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن كل ما يقدم لهذا الشعب العزيز الوفي وهذا الوطن الحبيب هو رخيص رخيص رخيص، فلا تبتئسوا من التضحيات، ومن يفتخر بأنه قدم شيء لهذا الوطن عليه أن يراجع نفسه. علينا أن نقدم بعطاء مفتوح ولا نمن على هذا الوطن، لأنه وطننا وسنعيش فيه وسيعيش فيه أبناؤنا. فشكرا لكم. مطلوب منا اليوم أن نخاطب بصوتكم الشخصيات الكبيرة والمميزة التي تزور المنامة في عنوان حوار المنامة. واسمحوا لي أن تكون الكلمة باللغة الإنجليزية بطلب من الإخوان، وعلى أساس أن يكون صوتنا أيضا مسموع ومباشر إلى هؤلاء. Let me begin with welcoming you, our guests, ladies and gentlemen, visiting Bahrain to an important event, not only for you, but for the whole region and including the Bahraini people. We, the Bahraini people, the lovely and friendly people of Bahrain, known for their hospitality and welcoming and warm welcoming to everyone, we welcome you into Bahrain. And we want you to listen to us as well. Let me first start with conveying these people inspired by Nelson Mandela, a great man, which he deserves a great applause from you. We convey our condolences to the world because Mr. Mandela is not somebody who is only for his community or his country. He devoted all his life to create a theme of non-violent, determined, pro-democracy leader that been inspired by so many activists and nations. This man has been lost as a body, but he will never be lost as knowledge, inspiration, and a theme and some symbol for peace and democracy. We, the Bahraini people here, wanted the world, and especially those coming to Bahrain, to listen to us. We went to the street on 14th February, not to take something that is not legal for us. We went to the streets in massive numbers because we want our universal rights. Those rights that's supposed to be extended to all and every nation and every citizen. That's why we went to the streets, because we want our dignity. We want our fair opportunities. We want our protection. We want our access to justice and development. This is why we went to the streets. We have not gone to the streets to take something more than what's been expelled and codified in the UN Human Rights Declaration and in the Covenant of Civil and Political Rights that Bahrain has acceded to. All what we wanted is to bring the state to commit to those principles and practices and practice those actually. This is why the Bahraini people have went to the street. And this is why the Bahraini people will continue to go and demonstrate and sit in until they achieve their universal rights through a democratic state. We wanted to bring Bahrain from instability and this tensionous situation to stability. Stability that the current government failed to provide. We have no personal issues with people. We're fighting for our rights, and we are not satisfied with their performance, those who are taking the places of other Bahrainis that are more eligible for those authorities. So when we talk about the government or against the government or disappointed about the government because they are not delivering, because they are abusing our rights, because they, after Bassiouni report, continue to abuse our rights, because they, after the obligation and commitment to the international community, they continue to abuse our rights, because the financial audit reports that yearly coming up exposing corruption with hundreds of millions of Bahraini dinars, and this is not being stopped because there is zero accountability in this political system. How can you expect a political system that is mainly based on pure appointment from loyalists to the regime, not from open spectrum of the community, in those institutions that make up a cosmetic show of a state, this pure appointment only, and there is no will from the people, causing this zero accountability in human rights, on corruption, and on delivery. And if we talk about delivery, how many thousands of houses as a backlog the current government is not being able to deliver, and assume that they said from 1970s something sort of that we will provide a house for every citizen. This is before we will provide the land for every citizen. These are not fulfilled. Why not fulfilled? Because the government is not accountable. The only accountability is before the one who is appointing them. And as long as they don't disappoint the one who is appointing them, then they will be in a place and in power like our Prime Minister for 42 years. And this has to change. The covenant, the UN Human Rights Declaration, in Article 21 for the declaration and in Article 25 in the covenant, the civil and political covenant, stated clearly that the authority and legitimacy of any government coming from the will of the people, the will of you, not the will of only single man. Again and again, I'm saying that we have no personal issues with the authorities and the individuals. We are asking for our universal rights that we have to get one day, and this day is coming soon, inshallah. When we look at security, and going back to the distinguished guest coming to Manama, when we look at regional security, and having looked at the agenda, I'm sorry to say that I've never seen a focus on internal security. And this is, if we want to contribute from the voices of these people, we wanted to contribute to the dialogue, because we cannot reach there. The government is preventing us from going there. And we have wealth of knowledge to exchange it with you. Let us, from the voice of these people, to tell you that regional security will never be attained if you forget about internal security. An internal security that is not built, as been in the previous decades, on armed first and defense and security only. Internal security that is based on people acceptance and happiness and agreement. This is where you can attain an internal security, and this cannot be achieved except through an inclusive political system, what we call the Manama document, elected government, fully authorized parliament, independent judicial, inclusive security based on fair and just electoral system. This is, if not achieved, there is no way to have an internal security. And if you forget about this core component of regional security, sorry to tell you that you will not reach a regional security, because this will fail. It was not succeeding when you allow repression to happen, allow police state to dominate the whole region, and we have seen how those states have fallen one after another. Yes, Arab Spring is not settled yet and have not brought stability and democracy as been promised to the people, but it's gonna go there. And those who think that they can fool the people again and again, they will fail. And we have seen a model in Egypt and Tunisia. The only way is to have an inclusive political system and not exclusion political system. This is the core, that if a voice coming from this huge crowd to the Manama dialogue participant and agenda is that don't undermine the internal security, which is a core component that's supposed to be there in your theme and discussions and future platform. We are a rich nation, or nation as Arabs in the Gulf, rich countries. Due to the tension in the Gulf, due to the model that based on security and defense only, not participation of the people, we've spent a huge amount of our wealth into security, buying air jets and tanks and civilians and other things, which is not useful. And especially with the great opportunity of the historic deal between the 5+1 countries and Iran, that's supposed to be a golden opportunity to change even the regional security theme. And we have to use this opportunity. We have to strengthen this deal, make it successful, not for Iran, not for the West, for our nation benefit. We fed up from wars. We fed up from conflicts. We fed up from skepticals between and tensions between these nations living close to each other. We have not chosen to live here. They have not chosen to live here. The only way forward is to live with each other as individuals and as nations, and to develop the security and the development and engage in participation and partnership and joint ventures in any field. This is very important to us, and we can contribute. We've talked about the model for security internally and regionally. We talked about the wealth of this nation and this region, and we talked about the relationship of the bilateral relationship between, or interrelationship between, the countries for this region and the international community. Oh guys, do you have a plan? Are you committed? Are you brave enough to do this? Yes. This is what being just described by my colleague in Arabic. The political leaders here and the political societies and their followers are striving to have an inclusive political system in Bahrain that brings stability. But it has to be based on engaging people. People are the power of all. People are the source of the whole power. This is through Manama document, comparing to Manama dialogue. And this is through an inclusive political process that has just been launched on 2nd December. And these are not preconditions. These are part of any genuine, credible political process that is mandatory to succeed and move the situation from conflict to peace, and then working together and living together and sharing power. So what we have placed and introduced to the authorities and to the world is an inclusive political process, and this is our roadmap to achieving an inclusive political system and achieving inclusive internal security and contribution to the regional security. So the world has an obligation from the historical relationship, especially United States, Britain, and the European states. Due to this historical relationship with the Bahrain, not the Bahraini elite, not the Bahraini ruling family only, we're talking about all Bahrainis. And if you build your strategies on including the Bahraini people as well, the Bahraini people are asking you to look at their aspirations and their demands and contribute in achieving this. Don't just support the regime and ignore the voices of the people, because the people as well have interest in the investment that you make in this country. And we want to secure your investment not through a security model that is based on repression or ignoring the repression and armed fist and security and defense. They are very important for any nation, but democracy is also important for the nation. Human rights are also important for the nation. And through this, we can secure your investment, and we can spend our money with reprioritizing the national priority on building more universities, schools, hospitals, infrastructure, and other things. These require huge investment, and these require huge spending. And if we reduce the priority from maybe what they said in Bahrain, for example, 1.3 billion is spent in security and defense. If we take half of it and build schools, we build the infrastructure for a great nation like the Bahrainis. You are more worth than oil and gold, because you are the strategic asset, and this strategic asset needs spending and investment that creates this nation future and development. And this is our message to the international community. You have still golden opportunity to secure your investment. We contribute to that. So this is where we want to conclude, is that if you put your hands with our hands and convince the regime to move into an inclusive political process and not get into maneuvers and continue repression, we can move this country out of the mess. We can create a success story. We can have something that everyone says, we are proud of this. We've been part of this. Let's go there. Thank you.